Well, ladies and gentlemen, it appears I'm going for two this week, trying to piss off yet another major content creator. But I disagree with Asmongold as it relates to this Xbox exclusivity situation. Now, before I say that, let me talk about the video that Asmongold did as it relates to this person who had a disagreement with him. I don't know their name. I can't be bothered to look it up. This guy was genuinely pathetic. He had a weak argument. He went in there half-cocked, didn't really know what he was talking about, and then by the end, just completely erased any credibility he might have had by saying that Asmongold was wrong because he lives in filth. I've got to tell you, that pisses me off. That absolutely pisses me off. Because there is something uniquely pathetic about an individual who goes into a conversation, who puts something out there, and their argument is weak. They don't really have anything to substantiate it, so they spend an inordinate amount of time about how much they don't like somebody based on things that they don't really know or understand and are irrelevant to the conversation at hand. As you know, I recently had something like this happen. A very popular content creator caught wind of a video I did, which was about customer service and pup cups and whipped cream. That person very much didn't like my content. Accused me of being all manner of things. Accused me of being racist. Accused me of being an idiot, a troglodyte, a brain-dead loser, not having any business acumen. All of these pejoratives, all of these insults, all of these personal attacks, and in the end, it didn't matter because I was right. And that's the same thing here. It doesn't matter what else you say. It doesn't matter what pejoratives you put out there or qualifiers. What matters is your argument correct? And if your argument is correct, then make your point, make your case, defeat them in the arena of ideas. But I cannot stand this art of personal insults because you can't substantiate your argument. So, that being said, the reason why I disagree with Asmongold is because I think from a business perspective, exclusives have tremendous value. Tremendous value. And that can ultimately help the consumer. I know it doesn't seem that way at first because it's like, I just like everything to be super easy. I like to go to a Taco Bell and be able to get a Big Mac. But the reality is that the Big Mac is associated with McDonald's. You have to go to McDonald's to get a Big Mac. And while Burger King may be trying to create some kind of facsimile, like, oh, get the McKing or something, or some variation, you still want the original. You still want that, and the rarity of it, or the difficulty in getting it is ultimately what gives it its value. In the case of McDonald's, it's not like a super rare item. You can go to McDonald's and always get a Big Mac. But the fact that you can only get it from McDonald's is part of what they sell the company on. Like when you see a promotion, you see a Big Mac, you instantly think of McDonald's. I'll give you an example with Taco Bell. And I'm using food because it's the most immediately relatable. I'll use video games in a second, but Mountain Dew Baja Blast. You could only get Baja Blast at Taco Bell for the longest time. You couldn't buy it in stores. You couldn't buy it at any other place. You had to go to Taco Bell to get a Baja Blast. I mean, I could use the Whopper, but the Whopper, let's just face it, it's just a gross cheeseburger with too much sauce. So that's not really a good example. Like the caramel apple empanadas at Taco Bell. Taco Bell has some really good menu items, or at least they used to. I think they got rid of the empanadas. But anyway, my point is, with Xbox, Halo, Master Chief. Now, you could have put that on a Sony console. You absolutely could have. But I think what it did is it helped the iconography and the legendary status of Master Chief to be on the Xbox, to be intrinsically linked to the Xbox. Link, The Legend of Zelda, Nintendo, that character, Mario. I mean, Nintendo has a lot of them because a lot of their games are only exclusives. But look at that. Nintendo has been able to pretty much do what they want because of the exclusives. Now, granted, you could get an emulator, you could play it on this, big giant machine, this thing we call a PC. You could absolutely do that, but the experience is greatly diminished playing it on PC. Because you're playing with the mouse and keyboard, and for some people that's great, but I would want to play it in the way that Nintendo intended. So you could get something that could hook up a Wii nunchuck to your PC and play it that way. But there's just something about playing it on the Wii that's completely different. That type of exclusivity, that type of experience is not something that's easily duplicated. And if you are a company that cares about the experience that your customer has, at least from their ability to integrate, different things from the UI, different things from the menu, the conversation board, things like that. If that is something that you value, and also being able to promote your own games in the way that you want, in the order that you want, all of that is stuff that you can control in your own echo chamber, your own store, your own place for your customers to come and buy stuff and engage. Now, that doesn't have as much power the longer that things go on. What I mean by that is they could absolutely put a Legend of Zelda on a Sony or Xbox console, and everyone's going to know that it's Nintendo. But if you do that with a game that's relatively new, there is something that's lost when you put it across multiple consoles. There's a reason why, and this isn't exclusive, but Grand Theft Auto 5 released on Xbox and it released on Sony, but it didn't release on PC for like a year or so. Now, that's not exactly the same, but you get my point. That there is power in exclusives. Now, from the customer point of view, it would be easy to get something at one shop, one thing, but I don't agree with that. I don't like monopolies. I don't like that you have to go to one place to get something. I don't want for you to have to go to Google and it have every app that you want, because they may decide to take off apps. They may decide to take off apps, if I can speak. They may decide to censor things. They may decide to do things that I'm not okay with. I want as many options as possible so that I can go do business elsewhere. The problem with having everything at one place, where you could get a Baja Blast and a Big Mac and all these other things, is that if you are at this one place and they're serving everything, and for whatever reason they do something you don't like, which in the case of video games happens almost every day, if not every week. If they change the localization, if they alter the prices, hey, games are going to be $100 now. I want as many options as possible. I want as many consoles as possible. And I want those consoles to thrive and flourish. And one of the ways you do that is through exclusives. Exclusives help build the brand. Look at the Stadia. This absolutely crushes my point. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, it absolutely knocks it out of the park. The Stadia had older games that were on multiple consoles. There were no exclusives for Stadia. There was nothing that you couldn't get elsewhere. Not only was the technology not where it needed to be, it was a good idea. It was a brilliant idea. The technology just wasn't there yet. But they didn't have any exclusives. Not really. I can't remember a single exclusive for the Stadia. You needed those exclusives. You needed those big, powerful games that were exclusive to Stadia, which would say, I'm going to spend a couple $100 to get this just for that game, or these couple games. That is the power of like the Switch. You buy the Switch not because you think it's going to be the most powerful, but because you know that there are games that you can only get there, and you know those games are going to be good. I know Asmongold hasn't played Tears of the Kingdom. I definitely recommend that he give it a try. But I would gladly pay for the Switch to play that game. Just that game. It is that good. And so that's part of it too. You can't just have exclusives, you have to make them good. Like, for example, they really, really shit the bed with Halo Infinite. Holy criminy. That game is terrible. It's a perpetually online disaster. So you also have to produce games that are good. You have to create an entirely positive ecosystem that you can capitalize on and build your brand on. Now, that's part of the reason why I think that exclusives are important. That you can build a brand off of them. And this may not be as much of an interest to other people who play on PC, which, by the way, let me just say for the record, I don't play on PC. I've got World of Warcraft and Star Wars The Old Republic on my PC. That's what I play on PC. I don't do first-person shooters. I don't do any other games, really. I think the last game I played on PC that wasn't those two was Age of Empires. Which is a phenomenal game, by the way. I love Age of Empires. And chess, by the way. Yeah, I'll mention chess. Chess is a game, and I played it on my computer. But for, outside of that, I play it on console. So, Asmongold and I, we have different experiences here, and I understand that. From his point of view, he's like, well, I only really play on console. Or, sorry, apologize. I only really play on PC. So wouldn't it be great if I could play my Switch games and my Xbox games? God, what is wrong with me? If I could only play my Xbox games on Windows. But then again, Windows in and of itself could do something to alter something, censor something, make something that isn't copacetic with the gaming community, and it would be nice to have another alternative, another bunch of consoles that people could fall back to. I don't like monopolies. I don't like one-stop shop. I think that it's important to have other people with other things. It's like, if I walk into a barber shop, and they're also trying to sell me Chinese food, and they're also trying to sell me tires, and they're also trying to sell me, a bunch of other stuff. Here's your Medicare. Here's your medical services. I would be a little bit nervous and be like, why is all of this in one place? You're chopping the head off of the duck to make Peking duck across from the table where you're trying to do, like, healthcare services. A one-stop shop is not necessarily the best thing. It is advantageous in the end to have a lot of different options, because you want the ability for a lot of these brands to be strong so that you have a different option to go to if one of them messes it up. And inevitably, they're going to mess it up. Because you have Ubisoft and all these other companies where their CEOs, every other day, they're saying something obnoxious and stupid. They go, I think we should be charging $100 for this, or if we charge by the minute, gamers would pay thousands of dollars for these games. Boy, $150 seems like a steal in that case. I think that having these exclusives, having different consoles, having them separate, in the end, it may not seem like it for the sake of convenience, but it is better for the consumer, it's better for the business in the long run if they can get stronger, if they can get more competitive, if one company does something and another company lowers their price. I think all of that's for the better. And more often than not, competition breeds innovation, which ultimately helps the customer. Anyway, that's my take on this, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you appreciated the video at the very least. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section below. To Asmongold, I absolutely love your content. I like what you do, because you have a very similar philosophy to me, which is the only thing that matters is that you're right. Doesn't matter the ad hominems, doesn't matter the pejoratives. It doesn't matter how many people come to say something that you know not to be true. You don't give in to peer pressure, and I completely respect it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will end things there. I bid you guys a good day, and I'll see you next time.